what better panelists to talk about the future of creativity? That's really a big theme. I want to start by sort of asking, the future of creativity can be looked at in two ways, right? One can be really cynical about it because, and I'm going to talk through the lens of maybe Bollywood to begin with, Hindi cinema. There is, of course, this complaint, and fair maybe, that it's all sequels and remakes and franchises and the death of indie films, the South taking over, and one can get cynical about the fact that, where is the future of creativity if that is what the future is looking like. But having said that, there's also incredible breakthroughs that are happening in technology. There's incredible, tent poles, and Tabu is a great example of someone who's been at the forefront of most of the changes. So even when tent poles are working, she's in those tent poles. When there's a great streaming show like Suitable Boy, international Indian co-production, she's there. I mean, you can't miss her anywhere because she's in all the most amazing things. And Rana, you're at this sort of crossroads where the tech and cinema are meeting, because you're not just an actor, you're an incredible producer and also an entrepreneur who's got his fingers in many pies, which is gaming and animation and VFX, among other things. So to cut this story short, I mean, what is the future of creativity if you were in a nutshell? Does it seem hopeful or not? And give us the no bullshit honest answer. Both of you. Technical
questions too. Hi, good afternoon. What is the future?
Yeah.
That's such a broad question.
It is.
And like you said, like we spoke slightly earlier, we are in many panels that say future in the beginning of it.
Okay.
But is it hopeful? Yes. See, as long as mankind lives, we need to be entertained. And you consistently need content, whether it was live, whether it was filmed, whether it's interactive, or whether it's a print comic book, right? All of these forms will continue to exist, but the approach of making these will start consistently changing. What is the newest tech adword that's moving is artificial intelligence in visual effects and in everyday programming our films. That's just enhancing us to make content better. So I'm a guy who's very hopeful, because as the more tools that I have to be able to engage my audience, I think the better the time is.
Tabu, the same question to you, but I want to set a little context. You're also this purist. I mean, you are as good as it comes. Does the fact that, and I know we spoke a little about it earlier, but does it make you cynical, the fact that tech is taking over in the way that it is? Does it feel more and more like we're moving away from the purity of the filmmaking storytelling process? There's this whole threat that is the big screen going to be the privilege of big stars and tentpole films only? You're someone who won our hearts by making films which were not those. I mean, of course, you are the original Ruk 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 girl, but we loved you in Astitwa, and we loved you in Chandni Bar, and we loved you in Virasat, and we loved you in all those films, and those were not tent poles, but you've also reinvented now, and you're in Bhool Bhulaiya too, and you're in Drishyam, and you're incredible. Does it make you a little bit cynical that if tech is going to play such a big role, and if you're going to move away from the purity of storytelling in its most pure form, as an actor, as one of the greatest actors of our country, how does that make you feel?
Hello, Goa. So, I have always seen the human element as being the most important part of any creative process. And I think it's one of the most fundamental human needs to create. I feel the world, civilizations, humanity, everything came out of creativity, Correct. So I feel as long as human civilization will exist, there will be a need for creativity and for people to. And I think all the technological and technical advancements we have made have also come from a place of wanting to create, wanting to create supports, create partners for yourself, and create this whole social environment where we could thrive and where we could express ourselves and where we could even discover ourselves, I feel. So human being will always be required even to create technology. I think, I don't know if even if the human being will be overtaken by technology, but at the core of any creative process will be a soul and will be something that you can't really crack, you know, that will create something. And I always have hope that there will always be something that hasn't been done before. I hope, because, you know, creativity, I mean, if you take in the context of cinema, hundreds of years ago, when there was no cinema, we evolved cinema out of nothingness, and then we have seen movies that we hadn't seen before. So there was novelty, there was an experience. Now we are seeing things that we have seen before. You know, so I think the challenge is always, for the creative fields, will always be to create something that hasn't been seen before, but I really don't know how that is possible. How will we give the world things that they haven't experienced before or haven't seen before? So, but personally speaking, in my journey, my endeavor has always been to experience something that I haven't quite experienced before. But of course, and that gets more and more difficult as you grow and in age and experience and whatever. That is there something that I haven't experienced? So, you know, I want to tap into that every time I do a film or every time I meet somebody, and I think that's what will keep humanity alive. And I don't think that I want to lose touch with that. I don't think anybody should, you know, just give up on that part of themselves.
You know, to both of you, it's to touch upon actually something that both of you said. Do you worry about the day that cinema may not require real actors? I remember asking this, Rana, to James Cameron when Avatar came out, and he got really mad at me. I said, you're going to make, because at that time motion capture was brand new, and that itself felt like such a huge breakthrough technology. And he said, no. I mean, you need actors to get the performance. You may not see actors in the way that you see them in flesh and blood on the screen, but you need actors to give that performance. But it's also true that in the years since, you can do that without an actor.
Okay, let me answer this in a slightly different way. Like when a camera was invented, this is something that I read and it stuck to me quite strongly. A lot of artists thought they'll go out of jobs. But the only things that went out of jobs were people who were doing portraits. But humanity became so much more creative with the kind of abstract art they do, and the camera became a tool to just accelerate their creativity. It's the same with what tech will do. It's ultimately what the human can do. This will just be able to enable it faster. And to answer your question of, will it replace actors? No, because ultimately it's taking the likeness of the actor that you like, adore, and what they've created, and just being able to deliver that to you in a far more engaging manner. So that's what it is.
But you're working in games where we're falling in love with avatars, and you're going to, I mean, and once those avatars become popular, they can become movie stars, right?
Of course they can. See, it's like this, right? I mean, we're speaking about the cinema world where all content that is just, it's 2D, you're sitting and watching it. There's very little interactivity in any form. But there's a generation that doesn't like that. You want to be the character, it's not just loving characters that you watch on screen, you want to be engaged with them far more deeper. Vice versa, games will become films, films will become games. And any IP now you will start looking at, or any story that you build, is just not going to be a film, a show, it's going to be something far more for people to engage with a much longer period of time than a feature film. So, does that answer?
I feel like it does, yeah. Rana, can you identify what the Hindi industry is perhaps not doing as well as the other industries?
First, I think it's a phase. Every industry goes through success and failure.
Yeah.
And any industry in India, I can say this for Telugu or Tamil, because each industry had a bad phase at some point.
Yeah.
And it happened when there was a repetition of stuff. When there was, cinema, audience like to see new things in cinemas. When you're trying to make something that's formula in some ways, when you're trying to package stuff, saying this is the model that you want to work. That's not films, right? And there's a lot of that happened in each industry which let them down. And there was a new storyteller or a new kind of story that opened these marks, right? I think Bombay is just going to, Hindi is going through that phase, but it'll come back really soon. The one thing that I notice very directly is language. Like you work in a Tamil film, they'll speak in Tamil, the whole set speaks in Tamil, the script is in Tamil. Telugu, the same, it's all written in Telugu, we all speak Telugu. But Hindi has a English communication. The script will first come to you in English, they'll explain it to you in English. There's a certain different beat. And vernacular is not so welcomed, really. Like, there's very few, like, on a Telugu set, if you speak English, it's like, okay, that guy can't speak, it's odd one out. But it's the other way around when I come to home. Everyone converses in Hindi. In English. So I think just being connected to the heart of what story you're telling becomes important. A lot of our star filmmakers and star writers are not necessarily from Hyderabad as a city. They come from smaller towns, they come from different districts. So everyone has brought their culture to cinema in that way, that sense.
Tabu?
I don't know, yeah.
No, it's also funny to ask her because she doesn't have that problem. She's like knocking out blockbuster after
winning in
blockbuster.
Hindi, like-
Yeah, she's just knocking them out.
मुझे
Drishyam,
तो कोई
some
problem
200
नजर
crore
नहीं
film. Bhool Bhulaiya, biggest film of the year. So, I mean, probably the wrong person to ask this
I
question.
have no problem.
She has
मुझे
no
कोई
problem.
problem नजर नहीं आ रहा है इस वक्त तो. When things don't work, then you want to see the problems. When things are working, वही चीजें, and when things don't work, the same things start looking like problems. So we don't know again, you know, what to blame. And I also feel like we were talking before we started the session that you can never actually attribute the success or blame or, you know, to one person or to one factor. अरे वो हीरो का पिक्चर हीरो की वजह से हिट हो गई या डायरेक्टर ने फ्लॉप कर दी स्टोरी खराब थी. We don't know. We really don't know because a film is a combination of so many elements, so many factors. That's why it is still matlab kya, it'll always have that kind of, you know, aura and it'll have that kind of attraction to people because you don't know. It's really like going to a casino and gambling, you know, you don't know what will work, when you'll hit the jackpot, when you'll lose all your money. So we don't know, yeah. It's really, for me at least, it's always, as I'm growing in the film industry and I'm understanding a little bit more, you know, of behind the scene, except my character and acting, तो अभी लगता है कि there's really so many things. Like some people say, "Arey, the story was great. That's why the film worked." But we don't know whether it's if there were other actors in the story, would it still work?
Right.
You know, like we really don't know. You're saying Bahubali would have worked in spite of, you know, the actors being, even if you and Prabhas were not there. But we don't know. This is all hypothesis and hindsight. You know,
So then, sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt. To ask both of you, as people who understand the nuts and bolts of the filmmaking from the other side, from behind the camera, who leaves the biggest stamp on a film, on the final product of the film? Is it the writer? Is it the director? Is it the actor? I mean, whose is the largest footprint on or handprint on a film?
See, it's a collective medium, right? So who is that one footprint? I think it varies really film on film, and every single film will be different. Some will be, a producer will be driving many things when there's a lot of new people on that set. If it's an actor that's driving it, if it's a director I don't think there's one print of saying this is done by just because this one man or one woman got this done. That's never the case.
It cannot be. And also finally it's the relationship that the film has been able to form with the audience that is watching it. That is final. You know, whatever. That is the final word.
But Tabu, I want you to share with us because I mean I know we've had these chats and you know you're an Academy member. You were out there with Life of Pi, which was this big sort of Oscar winning film. You worked with someone like Ang Lee. You did the indie global film in Namesake, but you did the big tentpole as well. I mean, what were those experiences like? And is there an ambition to do more of that?
definitely the experiences that I've had in Namesake and Life of Pi have been life-changing. They're like, I can be like life before Namesake, after Namesake, before Heather, after Heather, before Life of Pi, after Life of Pi. So it's just, I don't know how it will be now and who the people are. And I have come to understand, I think, like at the core, I always understood it experientially, but now I can really put it in words and say that everything, every film is about the people that are working on it. Your experience is coming from the people who are working with you and who you are working with on set, not even like behind, you know, who you're having that energy exchange and that physical exchange, because you're sharing space when you're doing a film. You're in each other's physical space. So, you know, that, and because Namesake and Life of Pi, speaking about these two, have been so, you know, defining for me in terms of my own personality, that, you know, I don't know what will, I mean, maybe I'll have similar or, you know, whatever experiences, but I would love to have those kind of experiences that have impacted me so deeply as a human being, as a person, and it has impacted the way I live in the world, and that's the most important thing to me.
To both of you, what excites you most about where our cinema is headed?
All the technical
Yeah,
questions.
because I feel like you all both have very different perspectives on this.
Well, one is what's been exciting me constantly from the time I started work to now it's a constant change. Every few years you have different storytelling, you have different form of art. You have everything from big global spectacle stuff to extremely rural rooted stories that are making the cut. Everyone now has a way to tell their story. Earlier you only had a big feature film and then you needed to get there, but today, whether it's OTT, whether it's long form, whether it's YouTube, whether it's it's really out there if you want to put your story. I think that's the most exciting part. Earlier, being a storyteller or filmmaker was like a wishful dream, where it's still, many people romanticize with that idea, but right now it's right there. You can pick up, start writing, making a film, and that's about it.
And you can make it on your mobile phone.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what's really exciting to me.
Sure. Tabu? As an actor, yeah, what are you most excited about?
AI created images.
It's an inside joke.
So I can just sit at home and somebody else does all the acting for me.
There'll be a digital double of
You have to
Tabu
put it
soon.
into context for us, because that was fascinating what you told us
Yeah,
backstage.
yeah.
Yeah. And Tabu has totally kind of sort of put first dibs on this.
Okay, how do I start this conversation? So digital doubles. We have actors that are today physically going to set, and things like extremely difficult action, things that are not possible to do in real life, even if it's careful rigging. A digital double is now being able to replace that, where complex action can happen, things that aren't possible can. Now that tech is getting faster and faster, closer to us, where eventually the digital asset will be driven by the actor in the way it is. So for example, if I have to go back to a film that I did 5 years ago, and I have to play that character, I can control the digital double and make that character go to set. So there's not really far in the future where somebody can just take a digital asset of that actor, create a story for them, and drive it forward. And then Tabu will be sitting at home and making money. And you'll be watching the film. That's
So
how
she
life
can
works.
literally be sitting at home and her digital double is doing the work
On set,
on
yes.
set.
Wow. Create that
That's
fast.
a possibility.
That sounds fascinating. And that seems like fun to you?
Yeah.
So you got to check out, there was a trailer this time at the Cannes of a Jackie Chan film, where a large part of that film, he's playing an 18-year-old.
Right.
So now that's a fully digitally enhanced double that's out there in that film.
Wow. So actors can exist, there are younger versions, and you can never age.
You can never age, you can be here after you're gone, that's it. It's
So you can be
immortalized.
Greta Garbo at home, no one knows.
See, we've become immortal, huh? We will be.
Correct.
Hopefully.
Like I said, it's empowering the creator more and more.
Right.
not the other way around.
Not the other way around, sure. Thank you for being an incredible audience, but thank you, Rana, thank you, Tabu.
Thank you.
More power to both of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.